Welcome to this month's CRC Cafe. This is a little bit of an expansion on last month's where we talked about disinfection and sanitizing agents. And I thought it would be really interesting to bring on Dawn and Tom from Key Solutions Group, who represent PRO-OXINE, and dig into a little more about their active ingredient, their special chemistry, chlorine dioxide. Now, this one is super interesting to me because, on one hand, it's a new sanitizing agent for me, as far as what I've heard, besides its use in vegetable cleaning and that sort of thing. But it has been in agriculture for a long time, and not just horticulture, agriculture. And so I want to dig through those and help put some of these pieces together of why this very unique chemistry has not been took advantage of as much as it should. And the more I learn with these two, and the more that I use the product in our own facility, my eyes are definitely opening. But let's get to the science and let's talk about it in a little detail. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, talk about what you do, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Tom Johnston. I'm the president of Key Solutions Group and the founder. I've been in the industry selling this chemistry for a number of years into different markets, and recently learned what we can do in the horticulture industry with this product, and that's what we've been focusing on for the last few years. I have a background in a lot of different types of ag equipment, so I've always had an interest in the agricultural side of things, and this chemistry really fills a niche that Don and I feel is something we can help the industry, with pathogen control, irrigation applications, things like that. So that's why we're here.
Yeah. I'm Don Lund. I'm the vice president and owner of Key Solutions Group as well. I had found out about this chemistry through COVID. I asked Tom if I could join his team in working with this product and bringing it to the marketplace through the COVID for the label that was applicable, and was able to learn more and more about this chemistry. Once we got through the COVID era, I'll say, we focused on the horticulture side, and it's been amazing to see what this chemistry does from various industries to specifically the CA produce and cannabis industry. And my background is direct marketing. I sold direct mail solutions and print solutions to Fortune 100 companies for most of my career. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today, Allison.
Well, I am excited and ready to dig in. So I have a chart I want to share. But first, I want, you guys have talked to me before about this, and I think it's really interesting. So I'd love for you to share it again. Some people like to think certain sanitizing agents are only used in the industry that they're in. But that is very far from the truth. So tell me some examples of where this chemistry is used currently, and how, and, specifically some of the things about hospitals, really thinking about the safety aspect and, how the government approves of this use in such open areas where people are breathing. So if you could touch on that, that would be great.
One of the first applications that this chemistry Oxine was granted was through the FDA. After it was initially EPA registered, one of the first applications was a pharmaceutical use as a preservative in eye wash products, eye care products. It's the only chlorine dioxide product that has that type of label use. It's used extensively in the food processing industries for direct to meat use. It's used in post-harvest vegetables, oil and gas industry. It's used as a sanitizer and disinfectant, as you mentioned, in hospitals, healthcare facilities. It's a, chlorine dioxide has been around a long time. This the manufacturer that makes Oxine has a proprietary system to make their product, and it is unique in the industry. They were the first company to introduce this chemistry to the EPA for its approval that it currently has. So prior to these EPA approvals, chlorine dioxide was used as a bleaching agent in the paper industry and the wood pulp industry. And they were the first ones to bring it to the animal health industry, human contact, food industry. So they are, it's a pioneer company, to introduce this chemistry to the world. And the label we deal with is the horticulture label, which is very specific to this industry, as the other industries have specific labels for their applications. So they don't crisscross labels. It gives every label a lot of unique features that we can utilize in our industry.
You had mentioned at a show earlier this year that why no one has ever heard of our chemistry. And I'd like to touch on that, if you don't mind, kind of follow up with an answer on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important topic to hit on because, as I mentioned that when we met in person, I'd never heard of it. But that's not to say that there's not great things. So, and that's not to say there's not other chlorine dioxide products. So I think what could be really big for the listeners is for you all to explain those differences and what makes your product unique and why it's coming around now versus years ago when maybe it was used in the animal industry.
Yeah.
When I first became aware of this chemistry, it was in the animal health markets. Where there are huge product sales in that area, and it's a proven chemistry in the animal health industry, the food industry. It has a lot of unique features in regards to activation. Our chlorine dioxide, Oxine, can be manipulated when in the activation process, meaning that we can control how the product is activated. Standard application rates of chlorine dioxide, say in the food industry, is very specific ppm ranges and a pH range of under 3. Our chemistry can be used in those same applications with allowed higher ppm levels and activation to pH levels up above 6. So more towards the near neutral side, which makes our chemistry less corrosive on surfaces. That's one of the biggest factors of our chemistry, is it's not as corrosive as others. It can be used more often at 500 ppm to clean hard surfaces without the concern of corroding tabletops, corroding concrete floors. We have that ability to get efficacy at very low ppm levels and closer to near neutral pH levels, which just makes our product very unique in the disinfection areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big deal. No matter where you're putting it near the plant, applying at a 3 pH versus a 6, thinking about its activity in irrigation water, which should never be around 3.
Yeah, and we're at such, you mentioned irrigation. 2 ppm is a very minimal amount of anything, and when we're we don't affect the pH of your irrigation water, of your nutrient solutions at those low levels. It just doesn't, it doesn't affect that. We have enough in there to affect the microorganism load, even excess runover irrigation water onto grow tables will help control algae. You inject it 2 to 3 ppm, and after it's gone through the plant and run out on top of a tabletop, there's still enough chemistry left to, control algae buildup, which we've had a number of growers comment on that. They, their number of applications for, just control of that on tabletops is dramatically reduced once they start using our chemistry for irrigation. I mean, they still do the normal cleaning of the room, but a lot of it's knocked down before they even get there.
Mm-hmm. So this has been a long, ongoing process. It's taken us 4 years to get to this point where we had to see the chemistry work in these facilities to make sure we had an understanding. We had to find the pain points that growers run into, just growing plants in enclosed environments, as well as we had to find out what the competition was, what they were bringing to the table, and how we were actually different. So it's been a 4-year step, I would say, for Key Solutions Group. We're a small, privately held company, Tom and I, to get to the point where 2025 will be big for us. We understand the market now. We understand how our chemistry is truly different from other ClO2s, as well as other popular chemistries in the marketplace. So, in answer to your question, it's on Key Solutions Group to bring this chemistry to the marketplace. And again, I've said it a couple times, but science and database decision makers are our best customers. So thank you.
Yeah, I can certainly appreciate that. That's fascinating. Let's share this table and get to the nitty-gritty of your chemistry. And I just want to say the point of this is not to compare and contrast brands. The point of this is to compare and contrast chemistries. And so, us putting these brands up here is my doings. And the reason I want to do that is because in the cannabis industry, whether it's a fertilizer or a pH adjustment solution, a lot of stuff is blinded to the grower of what it actually is. Now, most of these are EPA regulated, so they are clear if you go and look on the SDS, but not all growers will stop and think about and understand, what is that active and why am I using it and how am I using it? So for just a quick cheat sheet, I wanted to match those brands because some growers may be more familiar with brands versus active ingredient. So one of the biggest questions for growers, especially in the cannabis industry, is this organic? Can this be used? Is this going to be difficult to, have the local cannabis regulation allow me to use this product? And one of the greatest things to make that a very easy process is it to be considered OMRI. And so tell me about your product and this process about being OMRI certified.
I'll take that one. Our product is OMRI certified. Chlorine dioxide is a chemistry that you have to activate with an acid to get the full benefit of the product. So as long as you're activating with a food grade, typically citric acid, it does meet all the requirements to be OMRI certified, and it's used in the food processing industry heavily in that certification or those types of applications where OMRI is required.
Can you tell me a little bit more about this mixing process you're talking about?
Sure. So like I said, chlorine dioxide and all chlorine dioxide is a solution of sodium chlorite. You mix a acid with it we have a number of different types of equipment that does that mixing automatically for you, but that's how you get the chlorine dioxide out of the solution, is with a mild acid, and that is how the product works. It's like I said, we had a number of different types of equipment that do that, from very simple pre-mixed tank systems all the way to programmable pump systems that are in control panel boxes. So we have a number of different applications that we can provide to customers that make that happen.
Okay, so you're saying it's kind of suited to your size of application. If I'm a small grower, maybe
Yes.
I'm hand mixing, making a couple gallons at a time.
Yep.
If I'm a very large grower and you're using hundreds of gallons of sanitizing agents a day, you have automated systems to make that much more precise and less labor intensive for those really large growers.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of our equipment was designed and manufactured by the company that makes the chemistry. So it's we're not pulling other manufacturers' injection equipment together to piecemeal a system. They're very well thought out. They've been
used all around the world,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
I'll just add to Tom's point that so this chemistry and equipment's been made in Norman, Oklahoma for over 40 years. And it's been distributed around the world in various industries. So this equipment may be new to the CA industry in this case, but it's not new to our chemistry. So the chemistry and the equipment is proven as far as being reliable, which provides us excellent manufacturer support. And I think that kind of sets us apart too. They're very responsive if there's questions or issues that we run into, which is rare, but you do run into them. And so we appreciate the manufacturer support as well.
That's really big to have. So one thing I always make sure growers know and understand is when using a sanitizing agent, if you make a bottle, it can't just sit there for weeks on end.
Mm-hmm.
You make a bottle, it could dissolve over time. So really having the knowledge and the tools to make wise decisions of how often mix it. Do I have my team mix a new batch every 3 days? Is a big deal, because who knows if they don't know that range, they could just be spraying water or a very weak solution. So talk a little bit about your chemistry and, not only if they're mixing these solutions, how long do they last? And just for this example, not in big batch tanks, we're talking a spray bottle. What does that look like? And what is the contact kill time? If they spray it, how long are they waiting before they rinse? And then do they need to rinse?
I'll touch on the first part of this question, Tom, and you can finish up.
Okay.
As far as inventory control, I'll say after it's been activated, a lot of the growers will just keep it real simple for their staff. Maybe they'll have 10 or 20 bottles within their facility, depending on how big the facility is. They'll make a new batch, let's say every Monday, and they'll number every bottle 1 of 10, 1 of 20, whatever that would be, and decide whether they're going to make a new batch on every Monday for every week, or maybe it should be every Monday and Thursday. Every facility is different. Everyone has different protocols. Every state has different legislation on this. And so that's how you would manage the activation. Typically, our product is very stable in the proper bottles, if you will, and will last 5 to 7 days and be highly effective.
Would you recommend for it to stay out of light? Is UV a cause for potential degradation in temperature?
Yeah. We've seen, the 5 to 7 days is what the manufacturer suggests. And depending on how it's kept, if you mix it, put it in a dark plastic bottle, airtight bottle, it'll stay full strength for a lot longer than 5 to 7 days. But being that we have to deal with opaque spray bottles, different storage conditions, different temperatures, that 5 to 7 days is what we target. And that also goes back to some of the premix pieces of equipment that we offer. They're able to be sized or adjusted to make a certain batch amount each time it cycles. So they have a very simple float system in it. So it makes, 3 to 4 gallons every time it cycles, and customers can gauge their usage and adjust their premix systems. So they basically use that much product, and that's kind of how they set their protocols.
Understood.
And as far as spray contact time, that's, it really depends on what you're treating, what you're going after. We have efficacy summaries on a number of different microorganisms, and really depends on the ppm levels that you're spraying. As far as a rinse, typically doesn't require a rinse, depending on if you're spraying an exorbitant amount of product on a surface, but typically the standard spray rates don't require a rinse. We have a very low corrosion rate. I know a lot of other chemistries, a lot of the reasons they do have a rinse requirement is due to corrosion possibilities, and we've been proven to be a very low corrosive type product.
That is definitely something all growers think about when sanitizing is, what's this going to do to my benches? What's this going to do to equipment? So, understanding that it is less corrosive is definitely something to think about and keep in mind.
Yeah.
And something else you touched on that, I've always appreciated from you all is the data that you come with. Anyone in the industry, you can sing the highest praises of your own product all you want, but until you have that third party validation or, backup from your scientists to really walk through, all of these pieces that come to making a good product is huge. And so something we'll add to this, under this video in the details is we'll add some of these data points that you come with. So you've gone through the hoops, you've worked with independent scientists and had them check your chemistry with certain algae, certain pathogens, etc. And you have that you can stand on and say, yes, this does work. So that is certainly something I appreciate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our chemistry is categorized as a broad spectrum disinfectant, and that's based off the different categories of microorganisms that it controls. So that's a big plus for our customers. We can confidently tell them that what they're battling against, we can help them control.
Absolutely. So let's see, what can't you be used on? Looking through my table I put together, looks like there's not much you can't put it on. There's got to be a downfall.
Well, currently we don't have foliage approval. That is something the manufacturer's working on. So as far as per the label, that would not be an application. But as far as different metals and plastics and whatnot, we have very low corrosion on any of that. And actually, per the label as well, we have very minimal PPE compared to many of the other products in the marketplace. So it's safer for your staff. Kind of another beauty of our chemistry is that you can train your staff on one chemistry for multiple uses versus several chemistries and several precautions, and trying to keep things from being mixed, if you will, or contaminated from another chemistry. So our chemistry provides that solution as well. But as far as beyond foliar, Tom, anything you would add to that?
No, that's about it. As we try to and insist on staying within label uses. the the documentation we provide, or that's been provided to us from the manufacturer, is all based off of EPA registrations. Our product is EPA registered as a sanitizer and disinfectant for hard surfaces, as well as irrigation, as a disinfectant for irrigation, to control biofilm, which is a big point that we can offer to growers, to have that confidence that our product has been fully vetted for full-time irrigation applications.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's not registered for foliar application, but it can be injected into irrigation water and be delivered to plants.
Yep.
Roots love our chemistry.
Yeah.
So our chemistry, and the manufacturer designed it for this purpose, that we're able to manipulate the chemistry and provide prevention, really is what our chemistry is about. I know a lot in this marketplace is about remediation. How do I fix the problem? Ours is built on, our foundation of our chemistry is prevention. And then it really has a nice impact on remediation if needed. So the manufacturer's philosophy is, let's take care of the water and the surfaces in the facility and minimize what we can. So that leaves the growers, the opportunity to select the best cuts, the best seeds, follow, good SOPs. And our growers have tremendous success in doing that. So,
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest things you're going to be asked is, what is the cost? And so we put a very rough sheet together. Keep in mind, I had to pick something to give it as an example. I use high rates on labels. I use for hard surface disinfection. But if you are doing different activities, like you were just talking about, if you're doing, irrigation line cleaning versus hard surface disinfection, that's going to be a different concentration, which then in turn is a different cost per gallon. Do you want to touch on that a little bit and let us know what those differences are in ppms you suggest for one application versus the other?
Sure. On hard surface use, sanitizing, disinfecting, we have growers using it from 50 ppm up to 500 ppm. Really depends on where they're spraying. Spraying floors, walls, and ceilings at 500 ppm. Top of your grow tables, even the tops of the grow pots. As long as you're not spraying directly onto the plant, that's what we consider a proper use of the product. In the irrigation side, the label says 0.5 to 2 ppm is what's effective, and that's to the root zone. So if you have we have customers that have well water or water from storage ponds that have a lot of microorganism load to begin with, so they might inject at 5 to 6 ppm to overcome what's in their water, to with the intent of still getting a ppm or two to the plant, to the root zone, for pathogen control in the soil, in the root zone itself. We're not just a chemistry that's used just to clean the irrigation system, but it's also to provide our chemistry to the root zone, which is very beneficial as well. Our customers say we provide oxygen to the root zone. I mean, chlorine dioxide is an oxygenating chemistry, so that's it helps with root development. And we have a lot of growers say they see a huge increase in root development, plant growth, once they start using our product.
Mhm.
Very
So I'll just add to Tom. So our chemistry is built to provide maintenance once it hits the front of the irrigation system. So it's always out there throughout the entire system, rather than maybe some, I'll say, tech grade CO2s that are in the marketplace that have to go in. They have to be careful how hot they go in. Otherwise, they're going to kill your plants. Ours is clear out there throughout the entire system. That's on the lookout for biofilm and algae. Another unique thing about our chemistry is a lot of our growers have eliminated shocking between grows because we're keeping their lines clean. So once they change over a room, they clean up the surfaces and move on. So they don't have to sit there and shock that line for 24 to 48 hours either. So as far as the irrigation side, it's a tremendous product.
well. We've certainly enjoyed using it so far. And, I'd like to say to anyone out there watching, if you want to learn more about it, please contact Key Solutions Group. Tom and Don would love to talk more about it and see what it looks like to use this product commercially. Before we go, is there anything else you guys would like to add? And if not, we'll add plenty of contact information, extra reading, and details about PRO-OXINE and Oxine. And I'm just excited to present a new but not new a solution for the industry to really look at it. It's certainly worth it. Guys, anything you'd like to add?
I'll just add that we're excited to work with your group. We see there are a lot of value in providing safety in growing in the CAA space, as well as improving profitability, because I think we're all looking for that, specifically in the controlled environment. And we're attracted to people that make decisions based on science and data. And so we're excited to have this opportunity to speak with you today and support your group's effort moving forward. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Don.
Only thing I'll add, we do have some new products on the horizon. We have a slow release product that we've been working on for a number of months to get finally out to the market. That should be out in the next couple months. Other than that, and I know, Allison, we've talked about other products that we offer. We don't have other products. I mean, this Oxine Horticulture and PRO-OXINE Horticulture is what we promote and what we sell.
The oxine chemistry.
What we try to do is constantly look for new areas of application, testing on organisms that aren't on the current efficacy summary, and that's what we're doing to not really find new or present new products. We're trying to present new uses, new application rates, things like that for our product.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sounds like you're very devoted to your product, and like you say, just going through those hoops of what it takes to prove that this chemistry does X, Y, and Z, and it not just being a marketing ploy. So that I certainly appreciate the efforts you guys have put through, and I'm excited to see the spread through the market and keep our greenhouses and grow rooms clean.
That's our goal.
So thank you. We're super excited to have you part of the CRC. And like I said, check down below. We'll add contact details and more information about this chemistry. And you check it out, talk with the guy, see if it's right for you and your solutions. Thank you.